Hi, everybody. It's LindaG, and I'm here today with Sterling. Yay! It's Sterling.
Good morning, everybody, on this Sunday, September 24th.
September 24th. And for entertainment purposes only, we want to thank Linda, Sterling's wife, and Dan to get our questions. And it's a lot of hard work for Linda because she makes sure you're not repeating questions and stuff.
Yeah, and right. So she does a very good job of kind of looking through everything and just, no duplication and kind of adding value wherever she can. So a lot of hard
Right.
work. Good for her.
Very hard work. Thank you, Linda. And
Mhm.
thank you, Dan. I don't know if he types it up or who, but his job is getting it to me.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know they coordinate behind the scenes.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good. Yeah. Mhm.
That's great. Okay. Will France keep their democracy, or will the far right succeed in winning the next election? Good question.
Yeah, and Macron is in there right now. And I think he's on a second term. So I think what they're asking maybe when Macron's out, because you're going to run 2 terms, and then he could only get back in 5 years after that. Yeah, it looks like they keep their democracy, but what I get is some sort of something coming like a kind of bank. They're talking about immigration or immigrants and migrants. So like kind of pinning that down. It looks like something more from the Conservative Party, even though there's still a democracy, like curtailing on migration and immigrants, something about that. So there's something coming in here that's part of like Conservative Party, but they still maintain the democracy. Hmm.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, because that's why he could stick to his guns and said, we're raising the 2 years, just 2 years for the retirement age, and people went crazy.
Yeah, and I think both you and we saw that coming. We knew that was going to happen. Yeah, it's economics. Yeah.
Yeah. But if he was up for vote, I don't think he'd get in because of that. People were mad.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, number 2, is the Mexican government involved in or profiting off the Mexican cartel?
Yeah, for entertainment purposes only for many, many decades, many decades. Yeah, and that's why it's a slippery slope. It's hard for them to get control in that country. Yeah, because
Because they
too many
used to be
people.
able to be bought off, but I don't know about now.
Yeah, no, I still see it as occurring with a good portion of the government, unfortunately, being paid off and bought off, much the way our Supreme Court is here in the US. So,
Can you believe how bad that is? I'm wondering if there's a question. I'll wait till the end to make sure we're not repeating.
mhm.
Okay, NASA tells us that asteroids are coming our way in the future. What do your guides say? Well, they're always coming our way, right?
Yeah, there's lots of asteroids coming our way, but I think maybe the question is more about like Armageddon. Is there one the size of what took out the dinosaurs gonna come to Earth? And I don't get that's something that's not for like another 1,000 years.
That's what
But
I was
believe it
telling.
or not, the technology will be available in 1,000 years, even faster, to be able to divert the asteroid. So nothing to worry about here short term. No,
No,
no.
you don't see Armageddon.
Mm-hmm.
Will McCarthy lose his seat as a GOP speaker?
Yeah, looks that way just within maybe a few short months here. Looks like he's going to get
I
voted
felt
out.
that too.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that it's going to put the whole house in havoc and chaos. Not that it already isn't already, but it looks like they'll have a terrible time. If you thought the McCarthy ride was hard to get, certification, wait till you see what comes after that. It's going to be a real circus. Interesting enough, down the road after the election, it looks like Hakeem Jeffries will end up being
That's
the
what I
speaker.
feel too.
Yeah, yeah.
So funny you said, well, you and I always get the same hits,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel this is what my hit was. I feel that McCarthy will actually have to turn to the Democrats for help.
Mm-hmm.
And so he'll be able to pass some stuff and then they help him. But I see them all throwing a fit, wanting him out. But good luck getting somebody else in like Marjorie Taylor Greene or Gates or any of those. I don't see them getting enough votes either.
No, I think it's going to be a lot of chaos of not being able to assign another speaker after he leaves. So it's going to be a mess. Yeah.
You don't think Jeffries would go in, do you, or no?
Well, I think he might throw his hat in the ring, but I don't think it's going to happen before the
Not
election.
until the election.
Yeah. So yeah.
Okay. Will the U.S. get hit with bio warfare?
Mm. I pick up 2 small incursions. I say smalls that might affect like a city block. in 2 East Coast cities. So unfortunately, I think it's going to be handled, but it looks like, and I hate to put this out there, but it's like within a year to 2 years, New York and Boston. But it looks like it'll affect like a city block. So some sort of a device that goes off in a mailbox or something, and then they have to like quarantine the city block area or something.
Wow.
But it's nothing widespread for a city, but it looks like they're showing me what I call a small incursion. Yeah. But
Oh,
I think everybody's going to they'll get warnings. So it's like they'll hear the explosion and then they evacuate the city block. And
okay.
so it looks like it's going to get taken care of. Mhm.
Now that's scary. Okay. At the current time, many people have to hire a tax service to do their income tax. Will the government ever provide free income tax services?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, they're already starting. Like,
We're
well,
already starting.
California right now, you get free income tax services. On the federal level, there's like free filing, but it looks like within a few years here, after the 2024 election, there'll be like federal tax return support. So I do see it coming around for a large part of the population. Yeah.
Well, like you can do, I used to do H&R Block. I do it for a family member.
Hmm.
And that doesn't make a lot of money, doesn't really have much. But anyway, so you put it in their system and they walk you through it. They tell you what you're entitled to. It's kind of cool. So that's what I'm seeing. When I heard that, I saw that they'll pick up what these other places did, but really not charge you anything.
Hmm.
Okay, what will happen to Dr. Cornell West? Will he run as the Green Party candidate? Will it affect Biden's reelection?
Well, he's definitely running as the Green Party candidate, but it looks like a flash in the pan. So it's not going to have any kind of a big effect. And, this is not psychic, but in the news, I think it's already been reported he has a handful of problems. So I'm not going to go there, but there's a handful of problems that he's got to take care of. Yeah.
You know what I was saying out loud, and I didn't ask my guys, but maybe you just recently discussed this. What happened to Manchin? He's not talking anymore. Remember, he said, if I run, I'll win.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think I saw an exploratory campaign for him because he was
Yeah,
going to try to make a run at the presidency, but I didn't see it going anywhere. So,
yeah, because I feel he's like nobody's going to vote for him.
right, exactly. He won't be able to get the donors and the backing that he needs. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. I'm curious how our senses in the spirit world differ from those in the physical. I presume our loved ones on the other side can see, hear us as well. Am I correct?
Yeah, they can, but it's a different kind of experience because you're dealing in an environment that's not only encased in complete self-love, but it's also that dimension moves at the speed of light. So it's almost like you're seeing movies and pictures, and you can go forward and backward in time. So it's a different type of connection than you feel real time here on Earth.
Okay.
So it's different. For a lot of people on the other side, it's like watching a movie or images, even though they can see you, but they don't take it in as a current event, if that makes sense.
Right, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
When we talk critically about someone who has died, do they hear us? And do they benefit in some way from the criticism?
Actually,
They're still human.
well, go ahead. You want to go first? Go ahead.
Well, I just want to say that's assuming they're still human. They're when you're in spirit, it's a horse of a different color.
It is, and what I get on that for my team is that it's really all about the life lessons for those that are left behind. So anything you're doing here is you're continuing a life lesson. That connection of what you're saying doesn't have the same impact with those on the other side. They've actually moved on and started a new life. They still come around, look at family, but you actually start a new life on the other side. So you're not really looking in the rearview mirror so much on the other side and saying, shoulda, coulda, woulda, what are they saying about me?
Right.
And by the way, I see this all the time in sessions I do with people. I'll do a mediumship on, let's say, someone's mother, and they say, what does our mother want to do about the estate and the fight of the siblings on the house? And I said, your mother has no opinion on that whatsoever, because those are continuing life lessons for you here on Earth. They have no opinion about that. They don't get involved in life lessons. So
Exactly.
yeah, so
I've had people say, "Oh, my dad would be rolling in his grave if he knew what my brother is doing to the family."
not the
They
case.
don't. They're not into the money aspect because that's not part. They do feel sad for the soul energy of whoever is ripping the family off. it makes them sad.
Yeah, and I do also see sometimes they'll step in, for example, in a loving way. If the family's having a hardship, let's say they can't find a will. I have had loved ones say it's in grandfather's garage in a box. They'll actually help the family. But as
Wow.
far as getting in the middle of a struggle or a fight, they never do that.
Isn't that
Yeah.
something? Okay. You have stated before that when the owner of a pet passes, the pet can see the deceased. If so, why do some animals seem so distressed and depressed after the death of a loved one?
Well, simply put, they miss the person. So missing is a human energy. When you have unconditional love, you still miss the person. You see them, but you want to run with them in the field or run with them in the park. So they miss that part of the lifestyle. Yeah.
Hey, I got to tell you something. I had a bunch of parakeets and I had babies from the parakeets because I didn't have the heart to toss the eggs. And long story short, I was called the bird lady. I had a room full of parakeets. And so I had to give most of them to a fire captain's son. And I kept I made it, I cut it down. And what was so weird is when they left, I took the main flight cage and gave it to this guy. And got another cage for these ones. Those babies sat in a row on a ledge, the window ledge, and just stared at where the cage used to be and wouldn't move for like 2 days.
Mm.
So they really were upset. I didn't know birds could feel that.
Yeah, they do. Absolutely.
Okay. Will the mainstream media ever reinstate the fairness doctrine and remove the profits driven news we have today? And if so, when? Interesting.
It's a multi-layered question.
Yeah.
The fairness doctrine, that was from the FCC, right? The Federal Communications Commission in 1959, something like that. It got repealed. So profiting for the news channels, there'll be for-profit news channels. That's true. But I do see another fairness doctrine being adopted by the FCC within a couple of years here, like out past the next presidential election. And what that really does is it kind of mandates there's a fairness that you have to represent both sides when you're a news channel. That's kind of what it's all about. They actually abandoned it when social media hit hard, and they thought they can't manage it when social media platforms, but it's coming back.
Okay.
So two answers there: still for profit, but with a fairness doctrine in place from the FCC. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, what do you see in the future in terms of content creators being deplatformed, demonetized, or shadow banned?
Yeah, it's going to happen. So it's an ongoing fight, and it's interesting. This fairness doctrine we were just talking about is going to apply to a lot of social platforms and social creators. So it'll be revamped for the new age that we're in. Yeah, there's going to be some of that going on. So people are going to have to be a little more careful with the information they share, almost like a fairness doctrine for everybody's YouTube channel. So you can't just have one opinion; you have to be a little more balanced. So it's coming. Yeah,
Okay.
there's going to be a little bit of that.
With all these lawsuits against Fox, how are things going on there? Will Hannity ever be fired?
I don't see Hannity being fired. No, I think they're going to pull him back a little bit. I see the powers within pulling him back a little bit. What's interesting with Lachlan Murdoch, it's actually going to get a little crazier at Fox. So it looks to me like it's actually going to go a little more radical. It's interesting. But
He loves Tucker Carlson, believe it or not.
yeah, it's people thought it was kind of helter skelter under Rupert. Wait till they see Lachlan. So it's going to be interesting. But looks like they're going to be a little craftier. So again, that fairness doctrine is a common theme here in the show. It's almost like they're going to find ways to weave through the fairness doctrine. We're going to say crazy stuff, but then we're also going to say stuff that's not so crazy to try to balance it out. But yeah, it's going to get a little crazy with Lachlan.
He's gonna I saw that. It's funny you said that. I felt him showing his rear. But what I saw is I don't know when he's going, the one Murdoch. I don't know when he's going, but when he's gone, all of it goes in the pot amongst 4 of the adult children. And they all have different perspectives. Even the other son doesn't think the way that that brother thinks.
Mhm.
But what'll happen is what I saw is like Fox News being sold. You know, I see it being cut up in pieces.
I don't, but we could
No?
agree. We could agree to
We
disagree.
can
Yeah,
agree to disagree.
we agree to disagree. It's going to go on and get bolstered by other entities. They're going to buy up other news sources, and they're going to continue down that trajectory. Yeah.
Wow. Well, even after Trump loses, you think that they would say, we learned our lesson, we got to get off this. But Fox News is losing money big time.
Yeah,
And
but go ahead.
they
They're
lost.
trying to cater to an audience, and the
Yeah.
audience is making the money, and so that's the engine that's driving the Murdochs. You know, yeah, I understand, we all understand it's Crazyville and they're lying, but they're making a lot of money, and so they're trying to maintain that audience. That's what got them into trouble. Yeah.
I
So
mean, it's interesting. Even Tucker said he couldn't stand Trump. Everybody behind closed doors couldn't stand Trump, but they did it because they needed the money.
absolutely, yeah.
Okay, with all these lawsuits against Fox, how are things going on there? Oh, I just did that. Sorry.
Okay.
Will any of the Secret Service from January 6th be indicted?
Yeah, and I read on this before. I think we talked at least 6 up front, so at least half a dozen, and then I see by the time it's all said and done over a couple of years here, 12. So there are going to be a lot of Secret Service that are going to be pulled in, but it's almost like after a lot of the other January 6 cases are kind of running, then it's like they're working their way down the haystack. So
wow.
yeah.
Okay. Do you see China attacking Taiwan this year?
I don't this year, but it does concern me as we get out into the end of next year around the election. For some reason, I don't know what's going on there, but it looks like they're going to try to create some sort of havoc around our election and do some incursion there, some incursion. So something's going on there around the end of next year.
Interesting.
Yeah. Now it doesn't look like a full-fledged battle, but it looks like this could be something involving naval ships. You know, naval ships attacking each other and, you know, running aground and aircraft, close calls and shot down. Something going on here around the end of next year. Yeah.
Will Lance Kuntz win the Senate seat in Missouri 2024 as a Dem? He is running against MAGA Josh Hawley.
Say the person's name again.
Lance, Kunce.
I get a yes on that.
I was feeling yes too.
I get a
I don't
yes.
know who he is. I'll have to look him up.
Yeah.
If McCarthy gets ousted, who will be the next speaker?
Well, I think we were talking about that beginning of the show, actually.
Yeah.
So it looks like it's going to be chaos for quite a while. You know, for some reason, my team's not showing me another Republican Speaker of the House, which is bizarre.
That's
It
what
looks
I'm
like
not getting it either.
they could be battling like forever up until the election, and then Hakeem Jeffries goes in. I asked my team, I said, well, give me the name next Republican. There's there is nobody. So
Right.
we'll have to see it play out.
Okay, when President Biden was first elected, I was so excited to think that Dr. Jill Biden's presence, some sort of meaningful shift forward towards a living wage for teachers could be forthcoming. Will anything be done in President Biden's second term to address this glaring inequity?
Yeah, and for me, it's always been not just legislation, but it's been revenue in the coffers. So I've always seen now, it looks like after the election, we're going to see a more significant effect from that 15% corporate minimum tax rate.
That's what I kept feeling.
And so that revenue then going to be able to spread around a lot of different causes. Yeah, so that's happening. Yeah.
And I think part of it will go towards the borders.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to figure out some mass way, and homelessness.
Yep.
Okay, will we be able to support Ukraine when the war ends, or will the GOP thwart our aid?
I see continuing resolutions to keep Ukraine funded. I do. So it'll go through little stops and starts, but I do see continuation of funding, and I see a massive portion of funding already in place. So it's like what they need to kind of get through significant battles here, like even supporting the F-16s looks like it's already in place. So my team is saying the Ukraine is going to get what they need.
Okay, and I know, I mean, I just feel it'll be Biden in again. And then
Mhm.
we'll have a little bit more significant oversight, like we'll be able to change a lot of things.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a lot easier in the next election cycle to get things done and
Yes,
clean up the mess. Yeah, clean up on aisle
right.
5. Yeah.
Do you physically see President Joe Biden at the January 20th, 2025 inauguration?
100%.
Yeah, me too. Poor guy. He didn't have a proper one because and he did, and didn't Trump's people even lock the White House when they went up to the front door?
Yeah, crazy.
They were
Yeah.
just so uncouth. Do your guides see Sherrod Brown, holding his seat in the Senate for 2024?
He's in Ohio, right? Is he
He's
in
in Ohio.
Ohio?
Very nice
Yeah.
guy.
And I
Great.
think I'm just going from memory here since 2007 or something. He's been in there. I don't, yeah, I do see him continuing on. Yeah.
Yeah. He's a good guy and he's got a really smart wife.
Hmm.
Well, the state of Colorado pressed charges against Boebert for lewd behavior.
No, and actually, in all fairness, I think there was a news article out a couple of days ago that said that they already reviewed it and said they weren't going to press charges.
Okay.
I think so. I mean, psychically, I get no, but I think they already confirmed that even in the news cycle that they reviewed it. So
I gotta tell you, definitely. I never picked up charges, but I do see her losing her seat.
oh no, she won't get reelected. No, I think she only won by 500 votes or 800 votes, something
Yeah,
like
well,
that.
this time it's she's an
Yeah.
embarrassment.
Hmm.
But of course now it's a big scam because the Democrats set this all up because a Democrat took her out.
Hmm.
So
That was quite a show at Beetlejuice, I'll tell you. And it wasn't all on stage; it was out in the audience. I'll tell you. Yeah.
and that's interesting. She lied about everything. No, I didn't do that. Little did she realize they had cameras everywhere. But
Hmm.
I gotta tell you, and people probably get mad at me for this, but I just feel as a person, she just really is suffering as a person. I think it was a tough life, and she was young. She was 15 when she got pregnant, and her mom was on welfare. And she gets a little power, and how some people look what happened to Trump. He got really weird with power. So I want to ask you something that's not on here. Did you get any hit on Menendez?
Yeah. It looks to me over the next few months here, he's going to create a deal and exit.
That's what I'm
So,
feeling too.
so I feel like they're going to push him really hard and say, you got to go, you got to resign. And behind the scenes, say, okay, if I resign, then I want like charges reduced or, or I go to Club Med kind of jail or something here where he's going to work a deal, which, yeah.
Which will piss the Republicans off, but yeah.
Yeah, imagine having gold bars in your house, right? They're small gold bars that they weren't real large, but they all have serial numbers. So I guess I don't know, the wife took it to a jeweler and they tracked the serial number. So, kind of crazy.
Yeah, he's in trouble, but I will tell you, I really feel the wife was a big part of this. When she married him, she said, okay, I'm married to the senator, put in your request. She was looking for the money.
Yeah, yeah, but
He was
he was complicit completely.
complicit.
Yeah. Mm.
Okay, do you see anything coming up next week?
Well, a lot more going on around this whole budget fiasco, right? So we're going to see a lot of that happening, and it looks to me like they're going to keep kicking the can down the road. And what I mean by that is, I think they're going to get up to the precipice of like not funding, and maybe it doesn't get funded for a couple of days. Then they put in something that lasts 30 days, so it looks like this is a churn, like a train going down the track, kicking it down the road for a while. And it may take a few months for them to get the actual budget done. But, periods of stopping funding, stopping the budget, and then periodic 30-day agreements or something. Yeah.
I do see the stopping the budget, but it never seemed like it was going to last long. And I'm wondering if they will work, because the Democrats have told them, look, we'll vote for your budget if you include these things. And of course, that'll kick him out as speaker. But I think he might be desperate enough he'll work with the Democrats.
Yeah, yeah. I also see a couple of things happening here. A lot of strikes going on around, the nation. And
SADS is coming to a conclusion.
yeah, I was just gonna say, Writers Guild and the Alliance of Motion Picture Television Producers looks like they're gonna have a breakthrough here very shortly. Looks like we'll get to something finalized very quickly. I also look like there's federal government subsidies coming for some of these striking workers. So something coming, some sort of a benefit of all the striking workers for the UAW and something going on here. They were just telling me. So that's coming.
Oh, well, they were even talking about when you strike, at least the state of California, you should be able to collect unemployment.
Yeah, it just looks like I just see some federal program being released here to cover all the striking workers and helping them with either offsetting their taxes or something here coming out. Yeah, very shortly. Absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow, that's wonderful.
And also one other thing, it looks like there's a new drug going to be released or in trial here to help with PTSD for like war veterans. So something going on here with like a federal testing or FDA guideline, but there's something regarding drugs and treatment for PTSD with war veterans.
Wow, great.
Oh, yeah.
Can I ask you something real quick then?
Sure. It's the Linda show.
I
Yeah.
know, but what do you think about Trump doing that speech with the UAW and not showing up for the debate? He's going to film a speech talking to these guys that know he was
Mhm.
never pro-labor ever.
Yeah, it's not going to have a big effect. It's like a lot of things he does, not a huge effect. It's almost the lead up to the event has more of a news cycle than the actual event.
Okay.
So, it's like he's going to show up. What's it going to do? Oh, it didn't do anything. So,
Yeah, and maybe have to pay people to be there. Because Biden's going down to march with him on Tuesday.
He is exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And he's always been pro-union.
Yeah, and Ford's doing okay right now. Ford's making progress with the UAW at a very accelerated pace. Ford's always been a leader among the UAW. Even when all the federal government subsidies were coming in around the crash, Ford said, "We're not going to take the money. We're okay." So,
whoa, I didn't know that.
yeah, they were one of the few auto companies that said, "We got it covered. We'll take care of our own." So,
fantastic.
yeah.
I had a Ford Edge. That was a good car. It's still running, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, do you have anything your guys want to share?
Yeah, very simple this week. Just keep your focus on the outcome that you desire and never waver. That makes it a lot easier on you, makes it a lot easier on your angels and guides. And that kind of gets to the core of manifesting, where the 3C principle, you're clear, concise, consistent with what you're manifesting. I find a lot of people, they waver. Like maybe this week, okay, I'm clear what I'm manifesting. The following week, they're all over the map. And that's confusing to you and confusing to your team, because they don't actually know how to help. They'll never let you go off in a ditch, but it makes it a lot easier for them to help you. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to be a vibrational match to it, is what they always say to me. That which is likened to itself is drawn. So, but the thing is, like I tell people, stop watching the doggone news. You hear a little rumor or somebody says this, and people are like writing me, going off the deep end. It's like, no, have faith. Just move forward. This has nothing to do with anything. Don't be afraid. That fear is what'll take you down.
Yeah, a lot of these news companies are for profit, so they're trying to get you to watch. Now that's the way capitalism's set up, But you have to take a step back from a lot of the news channels. They're trying to keep you watching, so you watch the advertising. They have to be a little sensationalistic. If they tell you every day everything's fine, Biden's going to win, that's the end of the news show. People wouldn't watch. So there's a practicality here that people have to understand. Yeah.
They want to put the fear in you, so you watch it because you want to know.
Exactly.
So how can people get a hold of you?
Easily, we have a YouTube channel, Sterling Psychic Medium, but to get a hold of us directly, just go to sterlingpsychicmedium.com, look for the book a session tab. Very straightforward from there. I think now there's slots opening up in the end of December and January 2024. So,
okay. Oh my God, can you believe how the time's flying?
We're already moving on to next year.
Oh my goodness. Before you know it, we'll be going through the holidays.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, thank you guys so much for watching, and be sure to watch, and you can submit questions. You'll tell people when they can submit questions for your channel.
Yeah, usually every Monday morning we put out a request for questions for the following Sunday show, and then we kind of shut it off like late Thursday night kind of a thing, so Linda can go through them, that kind of thing. So yeah.
Okay, all right. Thank
All right,
you.
all good.
Linda and Dan, thank you, Sterling, so much.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.